Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badharayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. The Sishya had a doubt. He had a question. He was thinking, because samsara has no beginning, therefore it would end also. Because we generally say whatever has a beginning has an end. So the flip side of it is, if it has no beginning, it won't end. So when you say samsara has no beginning, he was wondering, he was thinking that it will not have an end as well. Samsara doesn't end. Moksha is not there. Moksha is not possible. Huh? Then the Shastras talk about moksha and all that. How is it possible? And to that doubt, the teacher answered, this samsara, this bondage, etc., it itself is not real. It's not a real thing. All this discussion about if a real thing has no beginning, it will not end. That is a very definition of reality, that which is always there. So that is applicable only to something that is real. But this samsara It's not real. It's not a real thing. Samsara, bondage, upadhi, all of them, they are all born out of ignorance. Mhm. So all your problems are not real. They can end. Therefore, moksha is possible. Don't be under the wrong notion that moksha will not be possible because samsara has no beginning. So he says, Brantem vina tvasangasya निष्क्रियस्य निराकृतेः न घटेत अर्थसम्बन्धः न भासो नीलतादिवत्. Association with samsara is not possible for the atma which is ever unattached. It is motionless, formless, like the blueness of the sky, which is an optical illusion. This samsara is also unreal. I am sorrowful, I am miserable, I have bondage, I have samsara. That's a mistake. That error can be rectified. You can put an end to it. So he further elaborated, स्वस्य द्रष्टुर्निर्गुणस्याक्रियस्य प्रत्यग्बोधानन्दरूपस्य बुद्धेः भ्रान्त्या प्राप्तो जीवभावः न सत्यः मोहापाये नास्त्यवस्तु स्वभावात्. The self is the witness of all thoughts. It is beyond all attributes, beyond all actions. The nature of the inner consciousness, the inner bliss, that is the self, that is the Atma. This samsara, the limitation, mortality, all that has come through a lack of understanding, through a lack of inquiry. Therefore, it is not real. It's not real. The samsara jiva bhava continues. How long? Yavat bhrantihi tavadevasya sattah. Mithya jnano jrumbitasya pramadat. Rajvam sarpo भ्रांतिकालीन एव भ्रांतेर्नाशे नैव सर्प अपि तद्वत्. This will continue as long as the illusion continues. And the usual example of rope and snake. How long will the snake be alive? As long as you have that bhranti, how long will that bhranti will be there? As long as you think that the snake is there, once you figure out it is not there, when you once again the knowledge it is not the snake, the rope, the snake automatically runs away as if it was not there, it was never there. Similarly, the jiva bhava is born due to ignorance. The illusory snake on the rope exists only during the time of delusion. The delusion can be destroyed by knowledge. Ignorance can be removed by knowledge. And then all suffering will end. So samsara also will end in the wake of knowledge. This is a technical discussion. Oh, student, you said avidya, ignorance is beginningless. Therefore, it has to be endless. And all that is correct, but only with reference to a real thing. It's not applicable to something which is unreal. Avidya itself is unreal, even though it is beginningless. Therefore, it can end. Something that has no beginning, how can it have an end? Why do you say no? Yes. If it is an unreal thing, it can end. Your own experience is that. Every ignorance of anything that you have is no beginning. Any ignorance that you have doesn't have beginning. Do you know quantum physics? I don't know. I don't even know what quantum means. And this physics, chemistry, the science, I've always dreaded that in school. I'm totally ignorant about all that. But when did that ignorance of quantum physics begin? Always been there and never knew. Not even in previous janmas. I can guarantee you that. If I had known from prior janmas, I would have some lingering iota of some inkling of that I would have. I can say I am absolutely zero in quantum physics. So no beginning at all. But somehow you get interest in that and you get a very nice teacher also. And he also has patience and he teaches you quantum physics. And by God's grace, you understand also. Your ignorance of quantum physics can end. Possibility is there. So, ignorance, we can put an end to it because it is ignorance. So, you can study, you can anything. If you put your mind to it, you can understand, even though to begin with, you are ignorant of that. There are some people who take on challenges. I'm an intellectual person. If you present something in a way that is difficult to comprehend, I like it. That's when I will understand. They never take the easy road. More complicated is better for me. So it can be done. Easily or with difficulty, you can get rid of the ignorance of something. Okay. Similarly, this technical discussion is that way. So let us try. It says, verse 198. Anaditvam avidyayah anaditvam avidyayah karyasyapi tateshyate karyasyapi tateshyate उत्पन्नायां तु विद्यायाम् उत्पन्नायां तु विद्यायाम् आविद्याकमनाद्यपि आविद्याकमनाद्यपि अनादित्वमविद्यायाः कार्यस्यापि ततेष्यते उत्पन्नायां तु विद्यायाम् आविद्याकमनाद्यपि. So now Shankaracharya points out that there are two things. Two things are there which fall within this unique category, what we call Anadi Santa category. Anadi, beginningless. Santa, Sa Anta. Santa means Sa Anta. With Sandhi, Sa Anta becomes Santa, not Shanta. Sa, Santa. So Anadi, no beginning. Santa, it has an end. So this Anadi Santa category, sometimes it is called by different names. Kalpita Vastu, that which is imagined. Bhranti Vastu, delusion. Adhyasta Vastu, superimposition. Apramanika Vastu, Really, there is no pramana for that. Anirvachya vastus, inexplicable. Mithya vastu, unreal, false. So many different names are there. So this has two aspects to it. Ajnana, ignorance, and adhyasa, superimposition. There is ajnana, avidya, ignorance component. That is one part. And when you are ignorant about something, you imagine it, you take something else and superimpose on that. So adhyasa, superimposition. These two aspects are there. Ignorance and error also you can call. Ajnana is also anadi. And as I'd already mentioned, and some ignorance, once you get to know it, once you gain the knowledge, you can put an end to it. So, santa. So, ignorance is something that has no beginning, but it has an end. The error, because of that ignorance, whatever thing you imagine, you superimpose, that also comes under the same category. It's an effect. It's a fallout of ignorance. So, if anybody asks when it begins, our answer is, I cannot say. It's always been there. And you also cannot say it is not there. So, you've seen this idea, elaborate discussion on Maya. Cannot say it is not there because you experience it, the effects are there, therefore it has to be there. So, something that is existence as well as non-existent. Or sometimes we call it seemingly existent. So he says, anaditvam avidyayaha karyasya api tata ishyate. It is accepted. Ignorance and its product, bhranti, error, both of them are anadi, beginningless. But the effects are there. So if ignorance had a beginning, that means before ignorance was not there. So it has to be beginnings also, you can establish very logically. If you say, hypothetically speaking, ignorance has a beginning, then what does it mean? Before that, ignorance was not there. That means knowledge was there. You had knowledge and it stopped and ignorance began. How will that be? Don't bring in memory part of it, loss of memory. We're not talking about that kind of thing. Okay, this is not memory. That can happen. That is a physical aspect of it. It's a function of the brain. So memory, knowledge, and things like that. We are not talking about that. True ignorance. So if ignorance had a beginning, prior to that, ignorance would not have been there, which is tantamount to saying knowledge was there. Any knowledge, true knowledge, once you get it, you got it. It won't go away from you. That is knowledge. So ignorance cannot begin in the presence of knowledge. So ignorance has to be beginningless. So that is our experience. Ignorance has to exist. And its beginning can never be pointed out. Then karyasya api tata. Anything that is a product of ignorance, anything that comes out of ignorance, that also has to be beginningless. This body. Why do we say this body, this mithya, etc.? Body is a product of Maya. Avidya, Maya, we've seen these terms. It shouldn't come as anything new to you. So this body is a product of Maya. Maya is beginningless, therefore the body also. But then this body has a date of birth. How do you say it doesn't have a beginning? That is true. This body in this birth has a date of birth. So that is true with reference to the current body. But how many births you have taken, how many bodies you have taken? So that body keeps changing, but you always had a body. Not necessarily a human body. That is also there. So many bodies we have gone through. In that parampara, this body is also one. All the elements that make up the body. What makes up the body? It's a product of sattva, rajo, tamo, guna. It's a product of Maya. That is also beginningless. That has always been there. The notion about the body, born out of ignorance. Therefore, ignorance, its effects are beginningless. While they are anati, while they are beginningless, the other unique feature is vidyayam tu utpannayam. Once knowledge arises, ignorance has no beginning, it continues. It continues as long as we've already seen. As long as you don't do inquiry, it will continue. But once you start inquiry, and you get that knowledge. Vidyayam tu utpannayam. Once knowledge comes about, anadi api, even though it is beginningless, that ignorance as well as the error, even though they are all beginningless, they will end. They will end. Normally, it is true what is anadi, what is beginningless, will be ananta, endless also. Normally, what has a beginning will end. That is all true. But this is something unique category. Anadi api, even though it is beginningless, and we cannot really talk about when it all began, ignorance, etc. But once you start digging into it, once you start that vichara, once you start that inquiry, it will disappear, it will end. Though anadi, even though they are all beginningless, avidyakam, meaning avidya karyam, the product of avidya, this samsara. Samsara is a product of samsara. Vinashyati, it will end. So all that you need is knowledge. And only knowledge. So that's why all Upanishads say that other than jnanam, there is no other path. Tamevam vidwan amrita iha bhavati. Na anya pantah ayanaya vidyate. Anya pantah, any other path, na vidyate. It's not there. Only knowledge is the only path. Jnana marga. Suppose you have mistaken a rope as a snake and you are scared. Therefore, you take a long stick. If you take a small stick, you have to go very near. So you're so scared. You won't do that either. If you take a small stick and go near, you will discover right away that it's a rope. So that also you are afraid to do. So you take a long stick and you go on hitting the snake. What snake? Illusory snake. Will it die? No. Okay. I don't want to do that. I'm so scared. Even with a long stick, I'll get a snake charmer. And he comes with his And he does the snake dance and everything. The snake dances and he puts it in that basket. Will it work? On that snake that you imagine on the rope. However expert that snake charmer is, that rope is not going to be charmed by that music. So many things you can try to kill that snake. But what you really need is jnanam, jnanam, jnanam. Knowing that it is a rope, it is not a snake. That's the only path. Nanyapanta. The knowledge is one. Therefore, Bhashyakara says, avidyakam anadiyapi, even though the effect of ignorance is also anadi, samsara is anadi, does not have a beginning. Vidyayam upannayam, when knowledge arises, it will end. Okay, continuing. Prabodhe swapnavat sarvam. Prabodhe swapnavat sarvam. Sahamulam vinashyati. Sahamulam vinashyati. Anadyapidam no nityam. Anadyapidam no vidyam. Pragabhava iva sputam. Pragabhava iva sputam. Prabodhe swapnavat sarvam. Sahamulam vinashyati. Anadyapidam no nityam. Pragabhava iva sputam. Another example is given in this verse. Dream example. The rope snake example, the confusion is an objective confusion. There is an object, the rope is there, that is outside. And that rope is different from me. Okay. So one more example is given, which is a little bit more related to the subject, not really an object. In the dream example, it is a subjective confusion. It's a confusion about oneself. I lose sight of myself as a waker. My nature is I'm a waker. I'm comfortably lying down in my bed. But then I start dreaming. I mistake myself to be someone else, the dreamer. And in the dream, so many things can happen. I may be persecuted in the dream. None of that is real. None of that is real. And then you wake up. Thank God. It is only a dream. All my problems are gone. So he says, Prabodhe, on waking up, on discovering oneself to be the waker, sarvam vinashyati. Everything is gone. All problems of the dream are gone. So swapnavat, similarly, just like the dream, samsara disappears. He says, Shankaracharya has said that in Atma Bodha also, he uses the same example. Samsara swapnatulyohi. So the samsara is like a dream only. And it will perish, it will go away. When knowledge arises. Sahamulam, along with the root cause, along with the ignorance, it will go away. Sarvam refers to the error, the effects. The whole superimposition will perish. Along with the cause of superimposition, namely the ignorance. So, Adya saha ajnanena saha vinashyati. Entire samsara will be destroyed. It will go away. Swapnavat sarvam sahamulam vinashyati. Like the dream, this entire samsara perishes along with its cause. Therefore, anadi api idam no nityam. This samsara, even though it is beginningless, it is not eternal. It will end. You can put an end to it. The samsara, the dvaitam, comes under this unique category. Though it does not have a beginning, it's not permanent. That's a great relief. Anadi samtaha. Samsara is beginningless, but with an end. According to Vedanta, the entire matter comes under this category. Consciousness is anadi ananta. The chit only is beginningless and eternal. No beginning, no end. That is why chit is sat. That is a definition of sat. Always be there. Anything other than consciousness, the entire matter comes under this category that may be anadi, but it has an end. Scientists focus on only the anadi part. Matter has no beginning. And they say, therefore, it does not have end. Material scientists. Law of conservation of matter. But Vedanta says, no. Only consciousness, it's no beginning and no end. Anything other than that, including the matter in the material world, everything. It doesn't have a beginning because it's all product of Maya. Maya is anadi, and that is what expresses itself. So during this phase where the manifestation is there, yes, all that is true. But in the grand scheme of things, it is not. It's all unreal. All the time we are dealing with matter. So we get used to that. We get conditioned to thinking that it is anadi and ananta. No beginning and it is eternal, nityam. Wrong conclusion. Unfortunately, this consciousness, which has no beginning, it's also eternal. We are not handling it. It is not tangible. Can anybody say you've touched consciousness? You handle consciousness? Can you go to a store and get a pound of consciousness? Not possible. So that is why it's very difficult to understand this. That is why we need Vedanta again and again. So Vedanta says, even though you do not experience it tangibly, it alone is, it was, it will ever be. That chit alone is sat. So now Shankaracharya also uses a technical term here. Prag abhava. We studied, we have come across this when we were in an earlier chapter of Panchadashi. We talked about this. Prag abhava. Prag means before, prior. Abhava, absence. These are all technical terms in Tarka Shastra. The Mimamsakas who use logic, etc., they're very technical. They use these terms. Abhava, absence or non-existence. Prag-abhava, prior non-existence. Prag-abhava and pradvamsa-abhava. Pradvamsa-abhava is posterior non-existence. Or something when it gets destroyed, a part is there. Okay? Before the potter made the pot has agabhava. It's not there. Before the potter made the pot, it's not there. Prag. And then when you break the pot is no more there. Pradvamsa abhava. Dvamsa, destruction. Pradvamsa. Posterior non-existence. Simple idea only, they throw some technical terms. Terms are self-explanatory, except for the mutual non-existence, for which we can give an example. If you take two objects, say a table and a chair. In the table, there is no chair. And in the chair, there is no table. There is this kind of mutual absence of one in the other. They also talk about all this. But we don't need to worry about all that. We'll just talk about pragabhava, prior non-existence, which is mentioned in this verse. Shankaracharya says, "O Tarkika, O logician, you talk about pragabhava of a product is anadi. A product and effect. Tarkika says has prag-abhava, prior non-existence. Therefore, it is santah, it is with an end. In my Shastra, we have a mithya vastu, which is anadi santah. Vedanta introduces this idea, anadi santah. We've been talking about it today. Something that has no beginning, but that has an end. Therefore, he says, pragabhava iva sputa, like prior non-existence. Mithya vastu is anadi api, it has no beginning. Navu nityam. Though without a beginning, it is not eternal. You can put an end to it. Very clear. What? Why are you struggling with this idea? Why are you thinking that samsara will not have an end? It will have an end. Continuing, he says, Anaderapi vidvamsah, Anaderapi vidvamsah, Pragabhavasya vikshitah, Pragabhavasya vikshitah, Yad buddhyupadi sambandhat, Yad buddhyupadi sambandhat, Parikalpitamatmani, Parikalpitamatmani, Anaderapi vidvamsah, Pragabhavasya vikshitah, Yadbuddhyupadi sambandhat, Parikalpitamatmani. By the way, I mentioned this Tarkika Shastra and the technical terms that we use, the 4 types of abhava and all that. We don't accept those things and those categorization. That's a different school of thought. So briefly mention that in the context of refuting Tarka Shastra, that's all. Our aim is, even though we do not accept that, you have accepted a unique category of Anadi, Santa, Pragabhava. Why say my concept is unacceptable? This type of argument is called Abhyupetyavada. In Shastra, accepting a concept of a opponent temporarily, and then establishing how that is not feasible. Okay, let's say what you're saying is correct, and then develop, some conclusions based on that, which obviously will be ridiculous. That kind of a methodology. Hmm. Using the opponent's language and technique, will present the arguments and disprove them. This is called abhyupetyavadaha, very often used. Not only in old Shastras, current day also we apply these techniques. So, we are using this terminology, pragabhava, to make our point. Says here, anadehe api pragabhavasya vidvamsaha vikshitaha. Even though pragabhava, the prior non-existence, prior absence is beginningless, vidvamsaha, the end of pragabhava, is vikshitaha, is accepted. You also accept that in your Shastra. That means pragabhava is santa. The end of it is conceived by you. You are okay with that. Then what is the problem in accepting my teaching? That's what I'm saying too. That is what I'm extending to samsara. Samsara, I mean the Purva Pakshi, the student, whatever we say, or it could be a Tarkika. The person who objected is imagined to be a logician who has brought this. According to them, the logic is if it has no beginning, it has no end. But you yourself talk about all this pragavams, abhava, pradvamsa abhava, etc., etc. So samsara is like that. So we extend that to samsara in the second line. Buddhi upadi sambandhat atmani parikalpitam jivatvam. The jivatvam, it is said in the next verse, we will borrow it from there. Jivatvam parikalpitam. Jivatvam, this jivahood, this samsara, the mortality, duality, limitation, division, all these is atmani parikalpitam, is falsely superimposed on atma. That's all. This is due to buddhi upadi sambandhat, because we are identifying with the intellect, body, etc. Vijnanamaya kosha sambandha, along with ahankara. All problems. The jivatvam is identification with the anatma, the body, mind, intellect. That's all. The confusion is brought about that. It is confusion. And so when something is Bhranti, delusion, confusion, you can put an end to it. Therefore, he says, Buddhi Upadi Sambandhat, because of Buddhi Upadi, the Upadi called the intellect, the Ahankara, etc. Again, Upadi also we have explained. So because of the proximity of consciousness with intellect, there arises the reflected consciousness, and with all that we identified karta, bhokta, the ahankara, etc., has come about. So there is a mutual superimposition. The qualities, the dharma, the anatma is superimposed on atma. The jivatvam, atmani parikalpitam, superimposed on atma. So this parikalpitam, this superimposition, like pragabhava eva, anadi santah, it is beginningless. The jivatvam is beginningless. It has always been there. But once you gain the knowledge, and thereby you are able to disidentify with the upadi and identify with my real nature, that I am Atman, Aham Brahmasmi, that knowledge, that identification takes hold. Then the other superimposition will go away. In this, when you are established in this knowledge, ignorance goes away. Therefore, jivatvam will end upon gaining this Atma Jnana, the jivatvam, the samsara will end. So that is the point that is being driven in these set of verses. Continuing. Jivatvam na tatonyastu. Jivatvam na tatonyastu. Swarupena vilakshanaha. Swarupena vilakshanaha. Sambandhasvatmano buddhya. Sambandhasvatmano buddhya. Mityajnana Purasarah. Mityajnana Purasarah. Jivatvam natonyastu. Swarupena vilakshanaha. Sambandhasvatmano buddhya. Mityajnana Purasarah. In the last verse, the word yat is there. That we have to add here. Yat jivatvam. That jivatvam, which? Jivatvam or samsara, which is superimposed on the Atma. Erroneously, falsely superimposed on the Atma. Really speaking, is not there. It's unreal. Really unreal. Not at all real. Instead of using the word unreal, Shankaracharya uses another word. What is it? I will clarify with an example. To point out that this snake is unreal, it is really not existence, not really existent. I say that there is no substance called snake. There is no substantial snake. You can never pick up that snake and look at it. It's there in a distance. So it is not really existence. There is no substance to it. What are you talking? No substance in it. You're blowing hot air, we say. You're talking through your hat. This is how we understand. So there's no substance to it. That snake is like that only. The real substance is the rope. But you are imagining something. So this is another way of presenting. You say mithya, you say it is seemingly existent, or put it in another language, that snake is swarupataha vilakshanaha na bhavati. It does not substantially exist, different from the rope. So you will see the snake in every inch of the rope. You may imagine the head of the snake, the tail of the snake, and everything. It starts from here. Where does it start? From one end of the rope. It goes. That's the end of the snake. What is the end of the snake? End of the rope. So the snake as such doesn't have any substance to it. So any substance that we talk about is only of a rope only. Whether you take the example of a rope and a snake, a piece of furniture and wood, clay and the pot, all of the real substance is the clay or the wood or the rope. Everything else, the desk, the pot, the snake, no substance. Nama Rupa, the shape and the form and the name that you give to it, no substance to it. In the same way, the substance of all matter, everything that we are dealing with, including this body, okay, everything, no substance to it. The substance in all that is that consciousness. Normally, we think that matter is substantial. You bang on the desk, boom, boom, boom. It's real. No, nothing. So normally we think matter is substantial and this concept, consciousness, what consciousness? I don't see. I cannot touch it, taste it. We also say very subtle. But actually Vedanta says just the other way about. Only substance in creation is consciousness. Matter is nama for consciousness. That wood is called table, chair, etc. Therefore, he says, tu tataha swarupena vilakshanaha anyaha. Na. Jiva is not a substance, distinct from consciousness. Jiva is not a substantial entity. It is never different from consciousness. Jiva is a seemingly finite entity, does not exist separate from consciousness, which is the only real substance. The mistaken consciousness is matter. The mistaken I, the Atma, is the samsari jiva. Therefore, change that, correct that mistake. Then you are free. You hold on to that mistake and you keep crying. So Vedanta is there to correct that mistake with regard to oneself. So he says, Atmanaha buddhya sambandha, the connection of Atma with the buddhi, which is another name for jivatvam. Adhyasaha is confusion. So the connection of the Atma with buddhi, purasaraha is because of mithya jnana, false notion, erroneous notion, wrong understanding, mistake. It's called error, false notion, whatever. So gain knowledge and be free. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.